Hello, folks. Brandon Chapman today. It's July 7th. It's a post-Independence Day session, Monday session for Theo Trades video. Boy, it's a crazy weekend. I hope you had a great time. I hope you had a chance to shoot off some fireworks, do some aerials. If your community allows you to shoot fireworks off in the air, we had a great time doing that on Friday. My neighbor, or my mom's neighbors, had a great time doing that. They put on quite a show. I can't imagine the thousands of dollars they spent on fireworks, but it was pretty impressive. So much so the police showed up. But anyway, I digress. A lot of fireworks were planned for the market this week with the tariff expiry. The reciprocals were about to take hold. We're talking about chaos happening, unfolding. We saw lots of bearish trade in the options market, in big banks, in semiconductors. It just seemed like we were angling towards something big happening with all that stuff having July 11th and July 18th expirations. It looked like good as we're kind of talking tariffs after the big, beautiful bill, the BBB, was passed. Trump on Friday and Saturday talking about tariffs. Markets started to get a little wishy-washy in the futures market on Friday. And it looked like we might be in store for some bigger selling. And then what happened? And again, I'm using the word taco just because a lot of people are using it. I think of it as a tactic, and I'm okay with taco, right? I'm okay with delays. I'm okay with negotiations, bringing people to the table, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is, as a trader, it kind of sucks. I was wanted to see that the market could see ebb to the downside versus just making the straight upside kind of momentum. That last 2 weeks here really led us to very, very elevated levels. And so as a result, we're kind of in this position right now. And this position that we're in is called a crossroads. Okay. Are you a bull or a bear? We're at a crossroads right now. We had a massive, massive move over the last 2 weeks. We could bring up Don's expected move study set, and you can kind of see what we have done. We broke above the expected move. In fact, we went to almost 2 times the expected move 2 weeks ago. We broke above the expected move last week. And so that just doesn't happen very often when you're above the expected move 2 times a week. It basically says, as Don talked about during his session this morning, it means they got it wrong. Who's they? We're talking about bigger institutional traders that are pricing the market and its expectations. We know the retail trader has been full bore into this market. Now what? Where do we stand now? Again, it's a crossroads. We're at extreme to the upside, but can we get it more extreme? I mean, some might look at the passage of the BBB as being a positive for the market, the delayed tariffs as a positive. I just wanted to rip the Band-Aid off. Let's see a 5 to 10% pullback, and let's reset back to the upside. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen. But as the news started to come in terms of potential tariffs on Japan, for example, and other countries, we started to see gold firm up a little bit. It's backing off a little, but it's near the high of the session today. You can see the intraday rally here, GDX, gold stocks, for example. I thought this would take hold last week on my Monday video. We saw them kind of back off for a couple of days, but today we're seeing that trade resume a little bit, and I'm hoping we can carry through. I'm hoping the talk of tariffs can lift gold and gold stocks in the near term. The question is, what's going to happen with the broader market, the S&P 500? We've had a couple of big 1 million share prints here, dark pool prints likely, but the idea being is that these are significant levels in one trade. If we can start to clear 616.48, we've got a bit of an air pocket to 609. And so the idea is that there is downside opportunity. But again, the question is, what are you? Are you bullish here or bearish here? Which path are you going to take? You're at a crossroads, your destination's profitability. What direction is going to carry to profitability? As a bull, you got to pick a direction. As a bear, you got to pick a direction. The bulls are picking a path and the bears are picking a road. Well, the path is more narrow. It's harder to be profitable at this point. The path isn't as wide as fewer and fewer stocks are kind of leading the market higher. The bearish path is broad. It is a road. Why? Because the market is really overbought here in the near term, and a broader market sell-off does carry more stocks down. And so the pathway to the bullish side is more narrow, but it is possible the bearish path or the bearish road is bigger. And again, so the idea, do you take the path or you take the road? Well, I guess some people take the path less traveled or more traveled in the last couple of weeks. It's just the area or the ability to be able to capitalize in this is more difficult. Today, stocks like Lyft, for example, it faded towards the close. Do you take a bullish trade here? We're consolidating right now. We had a nice breakout back here on the 24th. We're holding. We could potentially go to 1750 or 19. This is a high short interest stock. And yes, today they are in Lyft buying call options. Okay. They're in Lyft buying call options today. Is that enough to carry it? In this case, they're buying December calls out here. I bring up December. You'll kind of see it out here. December out at the 32 strike. There's not a lot of gammon. There's not a lot of immediacy to that, but could we start to see a bit of a breakout? Maybe you look for the stock or price clearing today's high. Fortinet was a nice setup. You see call buying in there. And the idea is, what can we see? This is a low debt company. We're looking at retest and prior high at 115. What's the catalyst? Well, look today. I mean, they're buying calls in Fortinet. It's for a shorter amount of time. I forgot to bring it up here on my side, but we look at time and sales here in Fortinet. Let's look at the call side. And 11 of July, 111. So we come up here, 11 July, 111 out here, out of the money calls. We're buying, 3,700, mostly bought at that level. Call buying in Fortinet. Again, are there opportunities? Yes. How many are there? Can you go back to the same companies you just went to and all those meme stocks, for example? I'm not sure it's there today. For BTBT, certainly was, right? If you're in the right place at the right time, okay, maybe. The short squeeze is on in BTBT, but with 150 million shares traded today, are you going to see that continued movement as we're basically turning over probably almost the entire float in one day? That is essentially we're talking about trying to navigate right now. If you are a bull, it seems like the road to the downside is much more broad. You'll see 205 million shares is the float. We almost turned over the entire float today in BTBT. So yes, those opportunities are out there. There is dry land. This is water world. You're looking for land. Yes, there's still land out there on the bullish side. It's just getting fewer and far between. You got to be more selective, find those opportunities because they're going to be fewer and far between because of the extended nature of the market. But again, it's up to us as traders to find our destination of profitability somewhere. You've got to make a choice, bull or bear. You could take some trades on both sides, looking for the narrow path on a few and taking the bigger path to the downside and stuff like IWM. IWMs, look, they've got a lot of exposure to financials, a lot of exposure to cyclicals and technology. So if we see selling in next week's earnings in the banking space, certainly IWM should feel the pressure to the downside. If we're talking about technology, should feel the pressure to the downside. We saw some huge bearish trades in SMH last week at 250,000 contracts for this week and next week. The tariff date got suspended. Maybe that's what it was all about, but that was a low probability trade out there, just looking for some big multiples. If we see some big selling, that still may be in the cards here. Who knows what kind of rhetoric, what kind of announcements we're going to see this week. And again, for my money, I'm looking at the market generally. I'm taking the downside road of the market, looking at key levels and maybe looking to add if we break. I'm looking at upside of gold as a result of potential tariffs. Hopefully we can get back to prior highs up here at around 316. That's the path that I'm taking, at least for right now, and ghost prints. But look, it is subject to change as we get more data points, more prints, and it signals greater directional certainty and towards the path of profitability. Folks, that's all I got for today. We'll catch you back in next week's video. You have a great week. Thank you.